You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com.
Greetings, Earthlings. You're listening to the Pro Wrestling Mothership Network.
Hey everybody, this is Ugly.
This is the Juice Box Hero, Tyler Jones.
This is Almighty Christopher Daniel.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Iron Mike Johnson with Impact Pro Wrestling.
This is Jermaine Johnson.
This is the world's greatest pop icon, Donnie Pepper Cricket, sometimes known as the Dundee Strangler, Brandon Juarez.
This is Caprice Cole.
I'm Wes Risk.
Hey, this is WWE Artist in Residence, Rob Schamberg.
Hey guys, this is Savannah Stone.
Hey everybody, this is Ian Riccaboni from Ring of Honor.
Hey babe, Cousin Gator, dang old, bang bang.
Hey, this is Miss Frankie J.
Yeah, this is the Pretty Boy Pitbull Kenny King.
Hey there, this is the one, the only, the astonishingly above the rest front man of professional wrestling, Jossie.
You are listening to the sultry sounds of Chainsaw King.
Hey guys, this is James Jeffries here, Impact Pro Wrestling Superstar, and you're listening to Shotgun Wrestling Radio, Daddy-O.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Shotgun Wrestling Radio. I'm your host, Zach Takes, joined as always by the Zigman and Zigman. Tonight we have another very special guest as we are lined up for the Impact Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame weekend in Waterloo, Iowa, the weekend of July 25th, 26th, and 27th. And Zach, we are talking about none other than Nick Dinsmore. Nick, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. We are doing fantastic, man. We're excited to have you on the show. We're even more excited to have you back in Waterloo, Iowa here this July. It's going to be your second time here in Waterloo. What for you are you most looking forward to coming back to Waterloo? Because it's I feel like the event just gets bigger and bigger every year from a wrestling standpoint here in Iowa.
Absolutely. I mean, the event for one I'm looking forward to, but coming back to Waterloo and just being a part of something that fucking builds up and gets better and better each year.
Now this year, and I don't think we had this the last time you were here. They're doing a tournament again. They started doing, I believe a couple years ago, and you're involved in this tournament, and the other competitors involved in the tournament. I'm not sure if you're familiar. I'm sure you're familiar with a couple, but I'm going to read off the list of names here for you. We have Brian Pillman Jr., Airwolf, Colby Durst, Jake Durden, Kurt Stallion, Wes Briscoe, and a representative from Impact Pro Wrestling who is going to be determined here later in the month of July. Now, just based off those lists of names, is there anyone there in particular that you would like to mix it up with?
Well, any of them. I mean, I've heard of most of the names on there. Some of them I've seen on the internet, but I haven't necessarily met. And they're all definitely stars on the rise and guys that are, going to make an impact in this business in the future.
I know last time when you were in Waterloo in 2015, you teamed up with Latin Thunder for Impact Pro Wrestling, and you took on mass destruction of Jake Durden and Nate Redwing. Jake's in the tournament. You guys were victorious that night. It'd be kind of cool to see you guys match up again this time around. I'm looking forward to see when they finally come up with the full lineup of what the first round matches are going to be, though.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it, too.
Now, Nick, kind of get into a little bit about your history in wrestling. Everyone knows, you worked in WWE, you've worked for Ohio Valley Wrestling, you now have your own training academy. Let's kind of take a step back here. What was it for you growing up that attracted you to this crazy business of professional wrestling?
I don't know, man. I remember being about 7 or 8 years old and turning on TV late one Saturday night and happened to come across Saturday night's main event. And after that, I was hooked. I lived in the Louisville, Kentucky area, and I started watching Memphis Wrestling, Jerry Lawler, Jerry Jarrett promotion every Saturday morning, and started going to the shows on Tuesday nights, and anytime WWE was in town, and I don't know, it just grew and grew.
Now, obviously, I think we could kind of get a great idea from just, the character that you bring to the ring, who some of your favorites were that really just captivated you right away.
It's like when I first started wrestling, I really enjoyed watching the British Bulldogs or tag team wrestling because of two guys that were a pair and a team and complementing colors and moves and styles. as I got more into wrestling, I really enjoyed technical aspect of wrestling. I would watch Lord Steven Regal and WCW and Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero and guys like that. And then when I really got even further into wrestling and I could try to push the boundaries of what entertainment is, I look back on guys like Handsome Jimmy Valiant or the Junkyard Dog and guys that were just, great performers, and I just tried to mesh it all together in something that I called my own.
Absolutely. And, I want to get to, obviously, you working for WWE. What for you was that like when you finally got the call from WWE, from the moment that you started your training and the moment you were really starting to make your feet wet in the wrestling business? What was that moment like for you to finally get a call from WWE?
Well, I mean, it was a series of moments that led to like a bigger, bigger career. Totally, basically. I mean, because I started wrestling in '96 and I was hired by WWE in '99, but I didn't debut on TV until 2004. And I was in Houston at the Toyota Center, and that's where I debuted. And I remember the night before really thinking, wow, this is when it's going to happen. And then to expound upon that, then I got the action figure and the T-shirt and the teddy bear, and I was on the pay-per-view, and I was in the ring with Hulk Hogan, I was in the ring with The Rock, and at WrestleMania, and it was like all these events that just kept topping each other one after another. They're just like surreal and unbelievable.
Now, when you said you were hired in '99, and obviously you didn't debut till 2004. Was there ever a time where you sitting there that you didn't think you were ever going to get the call up to the big show?
Towards the end of my developmental time, definitely, you know, my friends that I had trained with, Doug Basherman, Danny Basherman, Rob Conway, were all already on TV, and I was still, you know, training the newer WWE talent as they were coming into Louisville OVW and wrestling on OVW TV myself. I thought I was transitioning into a player-coach situation, which I wasn't, you know, I wasn't opposed to that, but I wanted to see if, you know, if I could make it to Raw. So I told my friend Doug Basham that I think I'm going to quit and try to go to Japan. But I really had no intention to do that. I'd just seen other talent complain, and the squeaky wheel usually gets the oil. And those guys would end up getting called up right away. So I told Doug I was going to quit, and then he told Dean Malenko, and Dean told Johnny Ace, and next thing I know, I'm sitting in a meeting with Vince McMahon, and that's when Vince says, I want to get back to character-based wrestling. And I spit out this idea of this character that I had, a loose idea. I didn't know anything what I would do in the ring with it. And he goes, great, we'll start on Monday. And so then the pressure was on me, and fortunately, I had enough experience to go out there and do what I'd learned, and I was a 10-year overnight success.
Very cool, very cool. I want to kind of fast forward a little bit now, and Zach mentioned earlier a little bit about Midwest All Pro Wrestling, a training academy. You guys are also running shows. So talk a little bit about your promotion and your training school.
Yeah, my wife is from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and she was living with me. We lived various places, but she wanted to move back home to Sioux Falls. So 2015, we moved here. We started Midwest All Pro Wrestling. We run several touring live events around the Midwest, as well as I train wrestlers here at the training center. We got about 30 wrestlers total. We run monthly events in Sioux Falls as well as around the Midwest, and it's just to be able to finally have total control and have the creative ability to, you know, do what I like to in the ring and in the storytelling aspect, but then to also be a small business owner contributing to, you know, local businesses is actually something new, but something that's really exciting me.
What is it for you that you enjoy most about getting in there with these young up-and-comers and mixing it up with them and showing them the ropes?
It's something that I don't know, I've just always enjoyed doing. Even, you know, when I was developmental, I was training the guys that were coming to Louisville. When Cena and Batista and Brock Lesnar and Victoria and Randy Orton, when they all first came to Louisville, I was the one that was in the ring with them a lot of the time, training with them. And then, of course, I was a coach at the Performance Center for 3 years with NXT, and a lot of stars that are on Raw today, I had a hand in training a lot of them. It's something that I wanted to be able to do, but to have my own, you know, to have my own complete territory and training center, and just put my ideas and my vision, make it a reality, I guess.
Now, one thing I do want to mention up to you, I know we're mainly here to have you on to talk about the show in Waterloo here on July 25th, 26th, and 27th. I did want to talk about the event that's been, if you follow on social media Jonathan Coachman or yourself, you know that there is an upcoming matchup here Friday, July the 12th in a Sioux Falls street fight. Now, how did this all come together? I mean, it's been quite a while since we've seen, the Coachman get in a ring. I think that should be quite a lot of fun for you guys.
Absolutely. When Eugene's first big angle on TV, if you remember, was against Jonathan Coachman. We had a pay-per-view match, and Coach, I don't know that he's ever really been trained in professional wrestling, but he's a good athlete. He's a terrific entertainer. And we went out there at our pay-per-view match, Bad Blood, 2004, I think, and might have been 2005. But we went out there and had a really good match. And Coachman's father recently was a recipient, a life-saving recipient of a heart donor, and Jonathan now wants to, as well as myself and Midwest All Pro, we want to create awareness for organ donation. So we're going to have a big event here at Sioux Falls Friday night, like you said, July the 12th. I'm sitting on my back porch, and there's Harley Davidson rolling down the street, so it's a little loud, but we're going to have a big event, Sioux Falls street fight. And we're going to try to create some awareness for organ donation.
Very cool, very cool. I want to take it back here, Nick, to the Hall of Fame weekend in Waterloo. Like we said, you were here a couple years ago. What was some of your thoughts when you went through the Dan Gable Museum here for that first time here in Waterloo?
Oh, it was extremely interesting. I was an amateur wrestler in high school, so the amateur wrestling aspect of the museum was interesting. But then for Dan Gable to give, a wing to professional wrestling and to acknowledge the connection between amateur wrestling and professional wrestling, I don't know, it was really cool. And I looked over and there was a gentleman standing there, and I was like, wow, he looks familiar, but didn't know who he was. And it was Dan Gable. And I remember as a kid, I had the Dan Gable wrestling shoes when I was in amateur wrestling, and that was like the biggest name. That was the Hulk Hogan of amateur wrestling. He beat all the Russians and was respected around the world. And there I was standing next to the gentleman and in his own museum. So it's a little slice of Americana that I think everybody should check out.
Absolutely, and even more so this year, they just recently completed quite a renovation of the museum. So this time when you come and visit here on the weekend of July 25th, 26th, and 27th, it's going to look completely different. I mean, it's a complete from top to bottom remodel that they did to the place. So I'm looking forward to getting in there myself because I haven't been in there since they remodeled it as well. But from everything that we've seen, it just looks absolutely fantastic. So if you get into town early enough, you're definitely going to have to swing back over there and check it out because, like I said, it looks a heck of a lot different from the last time you stepped foot in there.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Now, I want to also talk to you kind of a little bit about, obviously you were in WWE for quite some time, and do you have any particular favorite, moments from when you were in time in WWE? It could be developmental time or a time when you were up with the main roster or time just traveling up and down the road.
Well, there were so many. I mean, I used to travel with William Regal and Tajiri, and then I traveled for a short time with John Cena and Tajiri. But I mean, the moments that I remember the most, there were so many of them. I mean, the night The Rock came out to save Eugene was an epic night. The night that Hulk Hogan came out at WrestleMania to save Eugene was an epic night. The night that I won the tag team titles was an epic night. The night that I even pinned Vince McMahon was an epic night. But you know what the most epic point in my career ever was? It was the day that I met my wife.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think any man that's married that doesn't say that is definitely looking to get in the doghouse. Very wise choice of you there, my friend. And again, we're extremely excited to have you back here in Waterloo, Iowa, this coming July. Now, for anybody that is a young and up and coming wrestler, what advice would you give them? Say they're, looking to get into wrestling, but they're not quite sure they're ready for. What advice would you give to them?
Well, above saying your prayers and training and taking your vitamins, I feel like everybody should if it's a choice from like going to college and wrestling, I tell everybody, get your education first and then jump into the wrestling business. But it's something that you really have to devote 100% of your time to. If you want to make it to the top levels in this business, it's difficult to do if you have other responsibilities. And if you can, devote 100% of your time and attention to this business, it usually pays off well.
Absolutely great advice for any of you young hopefuls out there who are aspiring to become a professional wrestler. Now, for anybody that is out there that's inspiring to become a wrestler and would like to train at your school, how would they go about doing that?
So we are at Midwest All Pro Wrestling. You can find information at MidwestAllPro.com. We're on Twitter at Midwest All Pro. We're on the Facebook and the Instagram, and we've even got our own YouTube channel, which I'm doing a lot of the YouTube channel myself, creating the videos and promotional aspects of that. We're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and they can check us out. We got training classes starting all the time. We're building a territory here, and people want to get in on the we'll be having our 4th anniversary in November, so we're a fairly new company. If people want to get in on something that we're building a territory, building a legacy, making towns and making stars, Midwest All Pro is where you want to be.
Absolutely, you can't go wrong there. And of course, you would obviously get to train with you yourself. And who else do you have over there to help you with the training? So sure, I would assume that you're not the only one there that is helping out with the training.
No, it's just me, brother. But,
oh wow!
I got some guys have been training with me for 3 years now. So a lot of those guys will kind of lead other aspects of the business in the territory when we do our ring setup and our ring takedown, and formatting and structuring our events and whatnot. But I'm pretty much doing all the primary training and running the shows, booking the towns, doing the creative, doing the business, doing the whole thing.
Now, since you started your training, what has been the one thing that you think has surprised trainees the most when they step into that ring for the first time?
Well, there's a lot of things. I think some guys don't understand the physical aspect of the business and how, what the toll it takes on your body and how much you really have to give to it to get out of it. And just the physical conditioning that you actually have to be in. People think that, you see somebody like Shawn Michaels on TV. Shawn is so good, he makes it look so easy. And people think, wow, I can do that. That looks easy. But then they get in there and, they forget how to put the right foot in front of their left, and it just becomes very difficult to be coordinated and then remember to breathe and then remember what, if you're going to do something next or where you have to be or you have to be facing the camera. It's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts at the same time that it takes a long time to master.
Absolutely. I know the one thing that for us, whenever we talk to a wrestler, is they're always surprised at how much it actually hurts when you do fall. It's not just a trampoline there that you're bouncing on either.
Yeah, it's pretty stiff. It's pretty rugged.
So, now before we let you go here tonight, is there anything that for the competitors in the tournament that you will be in, and let me again read them off to you: Brian Pillman Jr., Airwolf, Kobe Durst, Jake Durden, Kurt Stallion, Wes Briscoe, and an IPW representative that will be determined later here in July. Is there anything that you have to say to any of those fellow competitors?
And you don't know who I've got in this tournament?
They have not announced the tournament brackets yet, so we're still waiting word on those from Troy Peterson and Impact Pro Wrestling.
All I gotta say is I'm preparing each and every day to go down to Waterloo, Iowa, and come back a winner.
Absolutely. Mr. Greg, is there anything else you would like to add before we let Mr. Nick on his way?
I just wanted to opportunities. Is there any other shows? I know we talked a little bit about the show coming up in July 13th. Is there any other shows you'd like to plug out tonight for Midwest All Pro?
Midwest All Pro has a bunch of events lined up throughout the summer. We're actually bringing Flying Brian Pillman Jr. in August 16th. And then September 27th, we got a huge event. We're going to bring in Billy Gunn. You can follow us at Midwest All Pro on Twitter. MidwestAllPro.com is the website. Eugene personally, I'm at UGene Dinsmore, Dinsmore, at Eugene Dinsmore is my Twitter. And you can find out where I'm going to be. Because I'm also touring. Aside from running Midwest All Pro, I'm still actively touring independent wrestling. Not as many because I'm putting a little bit more focus in the MAP, but I'm around the world making towns, making stars. Come check me out. Over and out.
Absolutely, Nick. Thank you very much for being with us here tonight. Hang on the line for one quick second. Guys, we're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
Greetings, Earthlings. You're listening to the Pro Wrestling Mothership Network.
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows, visit electronicmediacollective.com.